the things you need to know. I was living with Ben, who's now my husband, but at the time we'd only been living together, I'd say about 2 years. We were boyfriend and girlfriend, and we'd just gotten into an explosion, okay? And after that explosion, we moved everything that we owned, we moved our whole lives into an RV. Now, we'd been traveling in this RV for a week and a half, 2 weeks at this point, when the story starts that I'm gonna tell you. Now, you gotta know that this was not a nice RV like we have now. If you've seen our pictures on Instagram, this was a 1978 Dodge Coachman Class C. And when we bought it, we were told, we kind of just bought it on good faith because it was like a friend of a friend's that we were supposed to be getting a good deal on. But when we ended up buying the trailer, or the RV, it was a Class C, so it had a motor in it and you could drive it. It was full unit. When we ended up buying it, we packed everything we owned, literally everything we owned, into it that we could possibly fit in like 2-night period. And we dipped from Seattle. That's where we'd been living. Now, the reason we did that is literally as we were loading our stuff into the RV, our neighbors had called the cops and said, hey, there's someone with an RV parked in my neighborhood. Now, we were renting the house. We literally parked the RV where we were living. So it wasn't on someone else's property, wasn't bothering anyone, and it had been 2 nights. And the cops showed up because the neighbors called and they were like, you cannot park your RV here. We're like, but we live here. And they were like, yeah, but the city has a law that says you can't park your RV here, period. So we were like, we can't stay here, obviously. So the plan was this, more context. Plan was to drive all the way down to Los Angeles, California, Eagle Rock neighborhood. That's where I went to school. I went to college at Occidental College for a year and a half before I dropped out. And I knew from going to college there that all the way around the campus, there was just this quiet, nice neighborhood and free parking. So like we could park our RV there and no one was gonna bother us. And I knew that because there were cars that had been parked there and RVs that had been parked there for months and months and months, and no one ever bothered them. The only thing you had to do was move it to the other side of the street for street cleaning on 1 day a week whenever the sign said. So that was our plan, to just head all the way down to California, park there, have some free parking where no one was gonna bother us, and then use some of the school's resources like the library, get some food from the school, just kind of hang out at the nice campus and figure things out from there. That was the plan. So we were on our way down and nothing in this RV worked. Not at all. The toilet didn't flush, none of the water pumps worked. The gas gauge didn't work, which is really important for later in the story. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that we didn't know how much gas we had ever. We just kind of were guessing / trying to pay attention. Okay, we just put in 10 gallons and we get about 7 or 6 miles to get to the gallon. That's how much our fuel economy was. Again, we were told when we bought it on good faith that it got like 14 miles per gallon, and it got 6 to 7 straight up. So we just had to do math and pay attention and like fill up before, put in a couple more gallons before we ran out. And at the time, we were super broke, okay? So when we had this explosion, we had medical bills, we had to pay, there were like damages to the place we were renting that we had to cover, and so we were broke. I was making a little bit of money from doing some freelance writing gigs that I had gotten on Craigslist. So I would go to the gig section in Craigslist and I would, look up someone who needs an article written, or I'd look up someone who needs a blog post, or, all different just little writing things. And so I could make, $100 there, $50 there, and that's how kind of we were paying our way down and getting some food. But we had run out of gas and money as we got to Nevada, okay? So we're traveling through Nevada, and our plan was, instead of just travel, why were we going through Nevada? Well, because we were young and silly and had interesting, strange ideas. So we had all this crap in our RV from our life that we'd moved into there, and we weren't using any of it, but we needed money and we needed gas and we needed food. And we were technically homeless, right? So we had this idea, let's go to the Pawn Stars pawn shop and we'll like pawn a bunch of this shit and have money to make it all the way down to California. And so we routed down to go to Vegas, but we'd not really thought about how in Nevada there's like nothingness And in California, there's all these places where we could refuel, right? Gas station, another gas station off the highway. In Nevada, there's like one gas station and then like 100-something miles or 200-something miles. And because we were getting such bad fuel economy, that was like a full tank for us. And a lot of times we didn't have money for that full tank. I mean, putting in, you know, all those gallons was costing us, you know, $150, $200. So we weren't having that much money at a time. We only had like $20 to $50 to put into the tank. So we were going through and we knew that we were gonna run out of gas if we didn't fill up in the town we were in. We found this tiny little town. We were in this tiny little town and it had a gas station. And we were like, we need to stay here for the night until I can get another gig and make some more money. That way we can fill all the way up, because the next gas station was pretty far away. And we knew that we weren't gonna make it to the next gas station if we didn't fill up the RV tank. So this is where things go wrong, okay? We found a nice spot to park, what we thought. It was just empty field. We kind of pulled over the RV. We parked it, pulled out we had a little charcoal grill. We set it up with the charcoal, pulled out our little bottle of vodka, sat down, started grilling up some food, and just sitting and relaxing. I would say maybe not 30 minutes later, a cop car pulls up, of course. And he comes up to us and he says, hey, can I check your guys' IDs? The reason I'm here is you're parked on private property. And we're like, fuck, damn it. Should have found a different, it looked too good to be true, this spot. So we should have found a different spot. But we gave him our IDs and he went to go run them in his car. When he came back, he said, he handed mine back and he said, yours didn't pull up in the system at all, which he seemed kind of upset at me about. I don't know, I was like, well, it's a real ID. My ID was fine, you know, totally legit ID. But, you know, Washington State ID down in Nevada, and for some reason their system didn't read it, and so he was like, this is fake or whatever. I don't know, he wasn't happy with my ID. And then he gave Ben his ID back and said, you've had a previous marijuana possession charge, because Ben got pulled over one time and they found a fucking little roach in his car and they charged all the people in the car with it. Anyways, he was like, do you guys have any drugs in the RV? And we went, nope, just straight, nuh-uh. Of course we did. We had, you know, probably like, I don't know, maybe like an eighth of weed left, and all our pipes and bongs, right? Which back then was a much bigger deal, even than the marijuana. So we just were like, nope. And he said, okay, well, I'm gonna go get the dog. Are you guys sure? You know, he asked us like 3-4 times, are you guys sure? Because he could kind of tell that we did. So we were like, no, we don't have any weed. We don't have any weed. Sorry, we don't have any drugs. You know, we told our story, we're going to California. Look, we just like had this explosion that we were in, and we're just trying to go down to somewhere where we can kick it and trying to recover and, you know, get back on our feet. And I don't know, he like didn't believe us, or he just kept pestering. And so after a couple times of asking, he was like, well, I'm gonna go get the dog, you know, the canine dog, the drug dog. And so do you guys want to like change your answer? Because I'm going to get him anyways, because like he needs some training, and regardless of your answer, I'm going to get him. So we went, yeah, we have weed. Okay, we looked at each other and we went, yeah, we have some weed in there. We have a bunch of pipes. But it's just ours. It's just, you know, like our personal use. Like we're from Washington, you know, like there's medical up there. This was before it was recreational, but like, you know, there was medical. We were like, we have medical cards, because we did. And he was like, all right, well, so he called the cop car, called the canine. And meanwhile, while they were coming over, he was like, you guys go pull out all your stuff. Because if I find it after I've asked you to bring it all out, you guys are going to be in a lot more trouble. Because we were already kind of in a little bit of trouble, because we'd lied to him and said like, no, we don't have any weed, but then we'd come clean a little bit, right? So we were like on the if and if, as I say. So we went in, and boy did we try and find every single pipe and piece of weed that we had in there, but like we'd literally shoved so much. I mean, imagine a whole house full of stuff into a little, I think it was a 19-foot RV, right? So like just literally every cabinet was packed full of stuff, and we're trying to pull it out and find everything. And we actually had a bunch of broken pieces because I had bought some really nice bubblers, you know, in the $400 to $500 range, and broken them through sheer clumsiness and just not paying attention and being stupid. But I'd saved the pieces because I felt really bad. I spent a lot of money on them, and you know, when you break glass and there's some of it left and it's still kind of beautiful, you don't really want to throw it away. And I thought maybe someday I'll meet a glass blower who can, funny enough, right? Maybe someday I'll meet a glass blower who can fix this for me or make it into something else. And so we had all these broken pieces. We brought out everything that we could find. And we said, we think this is it. And we told them though, but like, we don't know if there might be just like another pipe in there or a grinder or a tray. And like, if there is, we're not trying to hide it. We're just really sorry. We tried to find everything. So the dog came and he like jumped through the window. He was like, bro, 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 there's weed in here. He totally cued on it right away. And there were like 3 or 4 different cops, and we were just like sitting outside. And this whole ordeal, you guys, took like 12, 13 hours. It was a really, really, really long time. And there's nothing going on in this town, and no one else like in the town at all. It's just like tumbleweeds, you know, like if you've ever seen The Rescuers Down Under, total like that type of scenario, just like deserty, like you know, what do we call this, buzzards flying across the sky, you know, things like that. Cheers. We'll do another dab here in a minute. Anyways, so this whole, they're searching, they're not really finding anything, right? Because like we cleaned it out pretty good. But then, I remembered, I went, fuck. Ben, we forgot to tell them about the cake pops. Let's go back to some context about the cake pops. So, back before we blew ourselves up, when we were renting this house, I was doing, again, a lot of freelance work on Craigslist in writing, but I also knew how to do web design, or I still know how to do web design. So I was also doing some trades, setting up websites for various very interesting things. More stories later on those, such as one time I traded a website for it's like 10,000 finger snowboards. And when I say finger snowboards, I do mean finger snowboards, all brand new in their packaging. But in any case, in this instance, I had traded to a medicated bakery a website design and setup for 100 individually wrapped medicated cake pops, meaning medible, you know, marijuana infused cake pops. So we'd had those in our fridge in the RV, and we'd been eating them because we were really broke, and honestly, they were freaking delicious and not probably very nutritional, but certainly had a lot of calories in them, and like we were getting by off like just eating cake pops on days on end for a little bit there. And weren't mad about it either. So, except for when it came time to go to the bathroom, you know what I'm talking about. Cake pops do not give you the most solid number 2s. So we'd forgotten to tell the cops that we had a bunch of cake pops, because they were in the refrigerator and we hadn't eaten any in a couple days because we ate so many at first, and you kind of, no matter what it is, what food or how good, you burn out on it, especially if it's medicated. You're like, I need to slow down on the medicated cake pops. So we'd eaten probably about, I think it was like 38 of them because they told us, hey, I told them right before they found them, which maybe helped, I'm not sure in the end. But I was like, hey, officer, I need to tell you right now, but actually I forgot about something. There's a bunch of individually wrapped medicated cake pops, but they're just for us because I did this website trade, and I just started kind of blabbering, and that was kind of a bad idea. And then the other cop in the RV came right out with the cake pops, and he's like, you gotta come in here and see this. This is not good. This is bad. And so he showed them, and because they were all individually wrapped, it looked like that we had them for resale, or that we wanted to sell them. And then the fact that I said that I traded for them, for some reason also made them think that I wanted to sell them to other people. And then the fact that I said they were mine immediately put all the blame on me, and Ben wasn't in any trouble at all. So they were like, we are supposed to arrest you. And so they started calling the district attorney, and they asked the district attorney, hey, like, what do we do with these kids? Like, they seem pretty nice. And, you know, we were nice and we had our dogs with us. excuse me, we had our dogs with us, and like, you know, we're pretty nice. We're not the typical like drug dealers or like big drug dealers that they come across. So they were like, what should we do with them? And the district attorney was like, if you want to book them, if you want to let them go. And so they were gonna book me, and they were talking to me about it. But then the assistant district attorney happened to see like all the flashing cop lights roll, you know, in his town. And so he rolled through and he stopped and he talked to him, and he was really nice. He's the hero of the story. And he convinced the officers that it was better for us to just get the fuck out of their nice Christian town, because there was like a kids' church function going on, you know, like just across the street, and he didn't want all the church kids getting out and seeing all this like, you know, bad stuff going down in their town. And so he was like, you guys gotta get out of here. And we were like, that sounds great, but we don't have any gas and we don't have any money. And that's why we're fucking here in the first place. So we were like, we don't want to be here, sir. Please help us. And so they were like, okay, we have a state program where we can give you up to $20 worth of fuel. And we were like, again, that is so great for you guys. But for us, that doesn't help us at all, because that'll just get us stuck right down. You'll be able to see us down the road. We'll be a couple miles just down that way, and we'll be stuck, and we'll still kind of be in your town. And I know that you guys don't want that. And so we convinced them to give us $50 worth of gas. And I had to drive because Ben, his license was actually, so this was another problem. His license was still suspended. He had a suspended license from before I met him, and he just never dealt with it. And so it was just suspended all the times he'd been driving. So I had to drive. And I did not drive the RV back then at all. I didn't really drive anything, but I certainly didn't drive the RV. So I was just like, and I was all freaked out from almost getting arrested and like everything like that. So I was like just driving this RV, and Ben's like, he's like, you can do it. You got it. And it's like nighttime now, because this all started during the daytime. But again, it took like 12, 13 hour ordeal. But anyways, that's the time that I almost got felony arrested. But I didn't, because of the nice assistant district attorney of Nevada. Shout out to you, good sir. And we're gonna take a tab to that good guy, right? Who didn't want us in his town. All right. A little bit long of a story, but it certainly was one of the craziest ordeals of my younger life. You know, just kind of like shocking, like, oh shit, I could just go to jail for a long time, and that would be really bad. Let's see, get the bubble cap. But I also learned a little bit, you know, I want to say about, I feel a little bit probably about white privilege, that if I was of a different skin color, I think that I was much more likely to have gotten arrested. And I think that that's an interesting issue for people to talk about. If you have an opinion on that, definitely comment below. But I feel like I've gotten out of trouble sometimes, maybe because I look innocent and harmless, and I think a lot of people judge others based on that type of thing, including police officers to a very large extent. If you've ever had an experience with cannabis and police, definitely comment below. Let us know what happened. Trying to talk too early after dabs, and the coughs come out. Comment below. I'm sure tons of you guys have stories. I met so many people with crazy stories, at least as crazy as mine. Ben's got crazy stories about his friends, like, and police banging on the door and running through the night through mud and shit with, like, weed taped to their body. All sorts of crazy stories. So if you got a cool, crazy story, please comment below. I'd love to hear them all. Maybe we'll share a couple of them on another YouTube video. Love you guys so much. Hope you have an amazing week, an amazing day.